let's have a look at NFT Twitter. And then it was like, whoa, look at all this stuff happening. And so when I first got into it, I was less into the NFT project sort of thing, which I'm obviously a huge part of now and, deeply, deeply embedded into now. But I just got into it from the love of art and the ability for artists, like I mentioned earlier, to connect with people all around the world without only being able to sort of sell to their local community or to tourists who visit their village, etc. And I originally actually started off just by looking around in the Tezos ecosystem because some of their marketplaces, some of the art is just phenomenal, like gorgeous stuff and crazily low prices. And I was like, what's going on here? And I dabbled and I bought a few pieces just because I was exploring how it all worked. And I bought this piece by an artist called Ubaid. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like Ubayd. She's an Indonesian artist on Tezos. And then I connected with her on Twitter and found out about her and found out she's from this sort of tiny village in Indonesia and that, selling an NFT to me was like a big deal for her. I was like, wow, this has got so much scope. And since then, actually, I'm still in touch with her and she sends me her works in progress and I give her feedback and I help her because her English is not as strong. I help her to like name her NFTs and I help her to like come up with descriptions and stuff and even help her out with like perhaps how she should price them or how many she should mint. And it all kind of started like that. And I'd actually done that, not expecting anything in return, and I never have, and I wouldn't even accept it from her, with quite a number of different artists from that ecosystem. And then as I did that, obviously like the Twitter algorithm started showing me more and more about NFTs, and I naturally obviously had heard of OpenSea, and so started exploring that and looking at ETH, and I'd been an ETH holder anyway, and but when I got into that, looking into that, I was like, whoa, these gas fees are ridiculous. So I saw that they had Polygon or Matic, and I actually, funny story, I was just cruising around OpenSea and I found this really cool artwork of this rose that someone had taken a photo of, a real life rose, and then digitized it and done all this really cool stuff with it. And very, very hilariously, one of my team at Stacks Parrots, Pekkabar, was that artist. And so I bought this artwork and it happened to be his first sale. And he
Nice.
he DM'd me on Twitter and he said, hey, so excited that you bought that. That's my first NFT sale ever. And he sent me another one just airdropped me another one as a thank you. And we connected a lot on Twitter, a bit like I'd done with that other artist. And we stayed in touch for a long time. And that's why not crazily, like now he's a big part of the Stacks Parrots project with me. So it's kind of amazing that I bought his NFT, and then through getting to know him and sort of learning about him and his abilities, and he's actually a developer amongst other things. Like he's part of my project, or when I say our project now. So that's the whole thing with the space, is that you can network and connect with so many different people. I feel like I'm giving you a very long-winded version of this, by the way, but after that, as I was exploring the ETH ecosystem, I noticed there was this project called Cosmo Dinos. They're actually doing really well now. They're on Ethereum, but and I help just by moderating a little bit and just doing bits and pieces for them now. But I noticed that the English and the way they were communicating, that they weren't native English speakers. And in this space, it's all about communication and obviously like having a quality roadmap and artwork and things like that. But if you can't communicate what you're doing, and that's where like the community management from like what I'm doing comes in really strongly. If you can't communicate effectively via Twitter, via a Medium article that you write, on Instagram, and particularly in Discord, when you're setting up a community, if you can't communicate effectively, people will either lose interest or not fully follow and just jump off. And it can be a bit fickle like that. So it's all about being very clear, having clarity around every announcement, thinking things through, making sure people know exactly what's going on, having a really, obvious and easy to read roadmap and all those sorts of things. And so I messaged them, and again, not expecting anything in return, and just said, hey, my background is in education. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for 10 years. This is my skill set. I really think that you need to shoot me your tweets and your announcements and everything before you send them, and I can help to edit and revise them so they can be clear for your audience. And so they were like, oh yeah, we're from France. We really need that. And so that relationship kind of blossomed from there. I ended up as part of their team. And then after that, I noticed that my skill set had, like, of being a teacher translated super easily and super fluidly into this kind of community management role that I kind of started with them. I'm not doing that as much for them anymore because I'm super busy with my other things. But it kind of sparked this interest in me. I'm like, I can love art and NFTs, use my skill set, and then also take my love of community, which I've always had as a teacher at schools, but then also loved in the cryptocurrency space, which had been kind of sparked by that cryptocurrency decred, and kind of put it all together. And as I was cruising around on NFT Twitter, I saw that Trevor had posted about Crash Punks. And so I pretty much jumped in straight away. I think I was in like the first 20 people in their Discord. And purely because I was like, cool, that artwork looks amazing. And I've also read Snow Crash like twice. So this is an amazing coincidence. It's kind of like combining all of my passions. And I wasn't on the team there or anything, although obviously I am now. But I was just in the Discord and I was super active because we were working from home during lockdown last year. In Melbourne, in Australia, we had like a seriously long lockdown. So I was on my laptop a lot. I could kind of be on Discord a lot, which has turned out to be hugely beneficial to me. But I ended up then checking them out. I was like, oh, this is the Stacks ecosystem. What's going on here? And then noticed that the Stacks Parrots had a very similar kind of thing in terms of an inability to communicate, like a little bit like what I noticed with Cosmodinos originally. And so I wrote to their founders there and they were like, hey, yeah, we're from Malaysia. We really need your help. We really, really need your help. We don't have a Discord. We don't have a roadmap. We didn't really realize what we were doing. We just thought you could sort of drop some artwork and go from there. And obviously it's been a massive, massive growth from that place. So I've ended up as part of their team. And then from that ended up as part of the Crash Punks team and then moderating on other projects. So it's all kind of blown up from there, but it all kind of started, I guess, to kind of like finish that story off as just kind of like exploring the ability to communicate and help and market and strategize with skills that I'd already had. I just didn't realize how transferable they were into the NFT space. So now I'm super deep into this space and talking to you guys on your podcast. So it's been a crazy ride.